And we're live! Good evening po sa inyong lahat back there in the Philippines. And of course, welcome back to Gurong Pinoy. Before we start, make sure that you like this video. If you're watching us on YouTube right now, go ahead and please do like this video. If you're watching us on Facebook, make sure that you share this video, start a watch party, tag your friends. And of course, please do react to this video. Again, make sure that you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. If this is your first time to watch us on YouTube, then make sure that you mention that in our comment box so that you can all be welcome by our team YouTube. And of course, if this is also your first time to watch us on Facebook, make sure that you follow us on Facebook because all of our notifications, all of the announcements that we do are posted on our Facebook page. That's also Gurong Pinoy. Now you can also find us on Instagram and TikTok still as Gurong Pinoy. We start with general education, 20 items. All exclusive materials go straight to grow. Okay, question number 1. What does the presence of these three divinities, Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos in Greek mythology symbolize? Is it letter A, power of immortals over mortals? Letter B, mortals' fate depends on the gods? Letter C, destiny cannot be controlled by anyone? Or letter D, immortals play a great part in mortals' life? Okay, now some of you are answering C, others A. What about other people? What's your answer? Thank you for starting a watch party, Sir Leon Revamonte. Okay, now the correct answer here would be letter B. Mortal's fate depends on the gods. Mortal's fate depends on the god. Yung kapalaran nating mga tao ay nakadepende sa ginagawa ng gods. Okay, so let's take a look at our next slide. Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos determine your fate. Now, according to your Greek mythology, the three fates, these are actually called, these three are called your fate sisters. The three fates determine how long a person will live. No man or god can change their decision. Some sources say the fates are daughter of Nyx or night, while others say they are daughters of Zeus, the chief of the gods, and Themis, the goddess of justice. They're often pictured as old, ugly women dressed in white robes. Now, going to the next slide, these are Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos. It says here, Clotho starts a man's life and spins it into a thread. So your beginning, the beginning of your life, is determined by Clotho. Lachesis measures the man's thread of life. Okay, that's your present life. Then, of course, Atropos is the one who cuts the thread and ends the man's life. Okay, so that is Clotho. Those are Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos. And so the correct answer would be letter B. Letter B po yung ating tamang sagot. So man's fate or mortal's fate all depends on what the gods would tell us. Okay, so what the gods would determine our fate to be. So until kailan lamang yung buhay natin, that all would depend on the gods. So again, the correct answer there would be letter B. Okay, now we go to number 2. Debit card and bad credit, the earthquake, and the queer shake are examples of letter A, contractions, letter B, puns, letter C, oxymorons, or letter D, anagrams. What's the answer for number 2? Okay, ano kaya yung tamang sagot for question number 2? What's your answer for question number 2? Ma'am Norsina May Abalos, Magain Tanhalin. Hello po, and thank you for starting a watch party. Now, when you say contractions here, ito yung mga daglat, yung mga pinaikse na letter na words in our language. For example, you say I'm. I'm is a contraction of I am. Your, you apostrophe R-E, that's a contraction of you are. Okay, the correct answer here is letter D. That's anagram. Okay, anagram. Let's take a look at our next slides. Okay, so when you say anagram in English, okay, this is a word formed by rearranging letters of another word. Okay, so this is a word formed by rearranging letters of another word. Okay, so when you say debit card here, this actually have the same letters as bad credit. The earthquake has the same letters as the queer shake. Okay, so your correct answer should be anagram. Anagram po yung tamang sagot natin. Now, when you say pun, ang pun naman, one of your choices was pun. This is a play on words that have the same sound, your homonyms, but have different meanings, usually witty or humorous. Okay, for example, you say, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. You're talking about taco, but you're using it in another sense, another method. It's a witty, it's a humorous way of using words. Okay, let's talk about it. That's a pun. And of course, when you say oxymoron, this is a figure of speech in which two words with opposing meanings are used together intentionally for effect. So you have two words, they are antonyms, but you put them together to make a certain effect. For example, you say, that's seriously funny. So seriously and funny are antonyms, but you're putting them together. So that's an oxymoron. Quiet scream. She is my only choice. So if your boyfriend, your girlfriend would tell you, you are my only choice, then that is actually that's ironic, no? Because if you are just the only person for your boyfriend or your girlfriend, dapat wala nang choice. Because when you say choice, that's an option. Okay, that's an option. So you just say, you're my only one. You don't say, you're my only choice. Pretty ugly. Okay, of course, that's an oxymoron. Growing smaller. Open secret. That's also an example of your oxymoron. So again, the answer for question number 2 was anagram. Okay, anagram po yung tamang sagot. Now we go to number 3. Life is like a roller coaster is an example of what figure of speech? Letter A, metaphor. Letter B, simile. Letter C, personification. Or letter D, hyperbole. Now, a lot of you here on YouTube are answering letter B for number 3. What about Facebook? Okay, Facebook po. Ano yung answer nyo? Karamihan din is letter B. Okay, letter B din yung answer ng Facebook. And of course, that's the correct answer. Okay, remember that your metaphor and your simile, they're very similar. Okay, metaphor and simile, they're very similar. They're comparing things to objects, to people, to events, or to entities. But of course, the difference between them is that simile uses the terms like or as, okay? Like or as. But your metaphor does not use those terms, okay? Metaphor does not use those terms. Personification is, of course, giving something that is not human-like characteristics. For example, you say, the sun is shining down at me, okay? Not shining, sorry. The sun is smiling down at me, okay? So again, when you say personification, you are giving an object or something which is not human-like characteristics. And of course, hyperbole, when you say hyperbole, this is exaggeration. For example, you say, I love you to the moon and back. Okay, so susungkitin ko ang buwan para sa'yo, no? Tatawilin ko ang 7 ilog para sa'yo, no? That's hyperbole. Pagmamalabis, no? Pagmamalabis, exaggeration, you all know that it's not true. You all know that mabulaklaking pananalita lamang yan ng iyong boyfriend or yung girlfriend. Most especially manliligaw, no? Pag maliligaw pa lang, magaling mambola. Okay, so hyperbole, that's pagmamalabis or exaggeration. But of course, the correct answer would be letter B. That would be simile. Okay, simile. Number 4, what is the ability of the listener to understand the speaker's intentions? Is it letter A, interpretability, letter B, intelligibility, letter C, comprehensibility, or letter D, acceptability? What's your answer for question number 4? Good evening po. Habol po kayo, Ma'am Janeth Carolio. First timer po ba sa YouTube si Ma'am Janeth? But the correct answer here is letter A. That's interpretability. Okay, so letter A po yung tamang sagot dito. The ability of the listener to understand the speaker's intentions is letter A, interpretability. Now we go to the next slide that we have here. When you say intelligibility, this is the recognition of a word and or the grammatical structure of an utterance. Okay, so kung ano yung sinabi ng boyfriend mo, for example, mahal na mahal kita, ikaw lamang ang mahal ko, no? Pag naintindihan mo yung kada salita nun at yung grammatical structure nun, no? Alam mo yung structure ng grammar na ginamit niya, that is just intelligibility. Okay? Intelligibility po yun. Now, if you can already recognize, alam mo yung meaning na naka-attach sa kada word na sinambit niya, no? If you know the meaning to, if you recognize the meaning to the words that he has said, then that is comprehensibility. That's comprehensibility. Now, if you recognize the intent, okay, the purpose or the intent or purpose of an utterance, kung ano yung purpose niya, ano yung intention niya, so that means that's interpretability. Kung ano ba yung intention niya, ba't binubola ka niya ngayon? Ba't niya sinasabing mahal na mahal kita, mangungutang ba siya, no? Or meron ba siyang hinihingi, okay? So if you know the intention, if you recognize the intention behind those words, behind that utterance, and that should be interpretability. So interpretability po yung tamang sagot natin. Okay, so that would be letter A, interpretability. Now we go to number 5. The U.S. was able to produce a test tube baby through a process called letter A, internal fertilization, letter B, gene pairing, letter C, in vitro fertilization, letter D, protoplast fusion. What's the answer for number 5? Now, of course, the correct answer here would be letter C, in vitro fertilization. Ito yung tinatawag nating test tube babies, okay? Test tube babies, that would be letter C, in vitro fertilization. Now, yung tinatawag nating internal fertilization naman, that means the egg cell and the sperm cell would meet inside the woman's body, okay? So, that's internal fertilization. Ito yung nangyayari sa ating mga tao, of course, di ba? Wala namang lumalabas na egg cell, tapos nasa labas din yung sperm cell at dun sila ma-fertilize outside of the body of the mother, okay? So internal fertilization po yung tawag dyan, no? When the sperm cell and the egg cell would combine, would meet, would have their union together inside the female's body. That's internal fertilization. Now, some animals can have external fertilization. Other not mammals, sorry. Your fishes can have external fertilization. Nasa labas nung nana yung egg cell, and that's going to be fertilized by the sperm cell of the male. Okay, so that's called external fertilization. Sa atin naman, that would be internal fertilization. Gene pairing, ito ay pairing lamang ng genes, no? Pagsasama ng genes. Protoplast fusion, this is part of your biotech, no? Parte siya ng inyong biotechnology. Pinagsasama yung protoplast, yung parte ng cells ng dalawang organisms mo. And so the correct answer here again is letter C, in vitro fertilization. In vitro, that's a test tube baby that's done in the laboratory. Yung tawag naman sa usual form ng pregnancy, no? Usual form ng fertilization would be in vivo fertilization. So ang in vitro po, that would be test tube baby. Again, in vivo, V-I-V-O, that would be the natural form of fertilization. Okay, but here the correct answer, of course, is letter C. That's in vitro fertilization. Now we go to number 6. The Philippines belongs to a type of biome called letter A, grassland, letter B, taiga, letter C, tropical rainforest, letter D, deciduous forest. What's the answer? Okay, now, a lot of you are answering letter C. Ang bilis nyo magsagot ng letter C dito sa ating question. And of course, that is the correct answer, okay? We are considered part of your tropical rainforest. Now, let's go to the next slide that we have. When you say biome, in science, biome is a geographical region defined by the plants and animals. Your plants, of course, are called your flora, and your animals are called your fauna, living therein, and the soil and climate conditions that support them. So different kinds of biomes, they have different types of soil, different types of climate conditions, and of course, because of this, the product would be different types of flora, that's your plant species, and your animals, your fauna. Okay, that's your fauna. Now, there are 6 major kinds of biome. These are your terrestrial biome, your land biome natin, your rainforest nga. This has been mentioned, your tropical rainforest. The Philippines is considered part of the rainforest. When you say rainforest, it has a very high temperature, mainit siya, but it has very high amount of rainfall, no? Palagi din siyang basa. And of course, we know that the soil of your rainforest is very rich in nutrients. Napaka-rich in nutrients ng soil nito. But of course, there's very little sunlight. Okay, sunlight naman niya is very little because of the thick layer nga ng trees natin sa rainforest. Taiga and your umpisan ko muna sa temperate deciduous forest natin. This is found usually in the northern part of the world, no? So dito sa Amerika maraming temperate deciduous forest. This usually is composed of yung mga evergreen mo, yung mga pine trees, no, yung mga cones, conifers mo, that would be the most common plants that you see in your temperate deciduous forest, okay? Temperate deciduous forest po yan. Grassland, sometimes called savanna, ito naman po yung nakikita natin sa Africa, no? This is found in Africa. And of course, this is made up predominantly of grasses, kaya siya tinawag na grasslands. Desert, of course, you know this, the largest desert that we have would be the Saharan desert, no? Sahara, that's the largest desert that we have. It's found in Africa. But of course, your desert is not just dry. It is the driest biome. It's also the coldest biome. Okay, coldest biome din itong ating desert. Now, your taiga and your tundra, these are very near each other. They can be found very near each other. Yung taiga mo, marami din siyang cones, no? Conifers. Marami ka din cones dito sa inyong taiga. And your tundra, of course, this is also a very cold type of biome. Meron siyang tinatawag na permafrost. Your permafrost lumalabas dito sa left. When you say permafrost, that's the layer of land in your tundra that is permanently frozen. Okay? All year round is frozen yung inyong layer ng soil. So that's why you call this permafrost, from the terms permanently frozen. Now, if you have watched what's the latest, yung last part nung eclipse, ano nga yung last part ng eclipse? Breaking Dawn ba yun? Breaking Dawn. I think the last part, the part where they had the big fight, and you've seen taiga, no? Yung the first part there where they have so many cones, that would be called your taiga. And of course, the part where they've already had the big fight, yung frozen na, no? Lahat ng parte ng land was frozen. It was covered with snow. That would be called your tundra. But of course, the correct answer in our question was rainforest. We are considered part of the rainforest because, of course, we are found in the tropics. Okay, the Philippines is found in the tropics, and so that's the tropical rainforest. Now we go to number 7. When the stems of vines grow around poles of fences, what kind of response is exhibited? You have the different items there. Again, if you're watching us on Facebook, please go ahead and share our video. Thank you so much. Ma'am Tin Acabo, ba't nandito ka sa Facebook? She shared the video. So Ma'am Tin Acabo is watching on Facebook. Wala siya sa Team YouTube ngayon. Okay, thank you for sharing our video. Again, do share our video, start a watch party, tag your friends, share this on all the groups that you have joined, no, so that we can reach out to more people and we can help them pass the net. Now, for number 7, the stems of vines grow around poles of fences. The correct answer, of course, would be letter C. That's stigmotropism. Again, remember when you say tropism here, tropism means the reactions, no, the responses of plants to different stimulus, okay, different stimuli. That would be your tropism. The term tropism, again, means the reactions of plants to different stimuli. And so you have different types of tropism. When you say hydrotropism, from the term hydro, this is the reaction to water. When you say phototropism, this is the reaction to light. When you say geotropism, this is the reaction to soil, to gravity, sometimes also called gravitropism. But the correct answer, of course, is stigmotropism. This is the reaction to touch. Okay, so this is exhibited, manifested by your mimosa podica, your makahiya. Okay, pag tinatouch, no, pag hinahawakan, tumitiklop. Ganyan ka rin sometimes, di ba? Pag kinakante, nagpapakipot. Okay, so that's stigmotropism. No? So pag merong nanliligaw ay nagpapadalagang Pilipina, nagpapakipot, tapos pag hindi na pinapansin ng manliligaw, sa kanyo naman hanapin yung manliligaw nyo. No? So that's stigmotropism. Again, that's reaction to touch. That's the correct answer for this question. Letter C, that's for number 7. Now we go to number 8. Which of the following pairs demonstrates symbiosis? Letter A, chick and corn plant. Letter B, cat and mice. Letter C, butterfly and bean flower. Letter D, monkey and banana. What's your answer for number 8? Number 8. Okay, ano yung sagot nyo dito? Karamihan sa ating team YouTube, your answer is letter B, cat and mice. Meron din namang letter C, butterfly and bean flower. Ma'am Megan Cabigas, thank you po for sharing our video. What about Team Facebook? What's your answer for number 8? Ma'am Leila Estibal, thank you po for starting a watch party. Okay, so here on Facebook, karamihan po yung sagot nila is letter C. And the correct answer here is letter C, butterfly and bean flower. Butterfly and bean flower, this is what we call commensalism, no? Or, no, this is not commensalism. This is mutualism. Mutualism, itong butterfly and bean flower mo. So that is part of symbiosis. Cat and mice, that would be, this is also symbiosis, maaring na confuse kayo dahil feeling nyo symbiotic din sila because they have a very close relationship. But of course, they don't have a specific symbiotic relationship. Hindi siya mutualism, hindi siya parasitism, hindi din siya commensalism, no? Yung chick and corn plant mo, and of course, monkey and banana, they are very similar. And so we can just eliminate your letter A and D. Hindi po sila yung tamang sagot. Ano nga ba yung symbiosis? When you say symbiosis, you have two organisms that are closely living with each other. They have very close relationship with each other, no? And we have three types for this. I've already discussed this before. When you say mutualism, the first type of symbiotic relationship is mutualism. Species A would benefit and species B would also benefit. Okay, so both of them are happy. So benefit, both are happy. This is exhibited by your clownfish and your sea anemone. Si Nemo mo, tsaka yung sea anemone, that would be your mutualism. Okay, so mutualism po yan. Again, if both of them benefit, then that would be mutualism. Both are happy. Now, when you say commensalism, one organism would benefit. So one is happy. The other one is deadma. Okay, so the other one is unaffected, not harmed, not benefited. That would be commensalism. Your example here would be your whale and your barnacle. Your barnacle is sticking to your whale, no? Nakastick yan sa iyong whale. Pero yung whale mo naman is unaffected. That would be commensalism. Okay, so that's commensalism. Another example here would be your orchid and the tree. Usually your orchid would be sticking on the trunk of the tree. The orchid is going to get the nutrients from the trunk of the tree. But of course, the tree is also unaffected. That would be commensalism. Okay, so commensalism din po yan. Another example for this would be yung tagak mo, no? Yung tagak mo and your carabao. Okay, so that's also commensalism. Now, for parasitism naman, one of them benefits, the other one is harmed. Okay, so one is happy, the other one is sad. That would be parasitism. Example would be the dog and the tick. Ikaw at ang kuto, ikaw at yung lisa, no? That would be parasitism. There is a parasite, the person or the organism that is benefited, no? The organism that gets benefits, that would be your parasite. And of course, the organism that is harmed, you'd call this the host, no? The host. So that would be your parasite and your host. So again, that's parasitism. So these are the three types of symbiotic relationships that we have: mutualism, commensalism, and parasitism. So again, our answer here, butterfly and bean flower, that would be mutualism. Okay, so yung tanong ngayon, kayong dalawa, anong klase ng relationship meron kayo? Is it mutualism? Is it commensalism? Ikaw ay happy or siya ay happy? Ikaw naman ay wala, no, dead malamang? Or is it parasitism? Happy siya pero ikaw ay sad. Okay, so itanong nyo sa inyong sarili kung anong klaseng relationship meron kayong dalawa. So again, these are the different types of symbiotic relationships that we have. Cat and mice, of course, tama si Sir Michael Reyes. On YouTube, that would be predation, and that is not part of your symbiotic relationships. Now we go to number 9. The zigzag road to Baguio represents which kind of simple machine? Is it letter A, wedge, letter B, lever, letter C, wheel and axle, letter D, inclined plane? The zigzag road to Baguio represents which kind of simple machine? Is it letter A, wedge, letter B, lever, letter C, wheel and axle, or letter D, it's inclined plane? The correct answer here would be letter D. It's an inclined plane. Okay, inclined plane po yung tamang sagot dito. Now let's take a look at your different types of machines here, different types of simple machines. You have your pulley. Okay, so this is your pulley, no? We all know this. We see this in your flagpole. So usually, para mapabilis yung transport na materials going up and down, you'd use your pulley. Your lever, of course, one example for that would be your seesaw. Okay, so you have your fulcrum. Your fulcrum dito, ito yung fulcrum mo, yung balancing part. That's the fulcrum of your lever. Wheel and axle naman, you have a wheel and you have, of course, an axle that is found in the middle of your wheel. Okay, so that's your wheel and axle. You find this in your wheels, in your clock. Nakita din to sa loob ng ating clock, no? Sa ating analog na clock. Yung wedge mo, this is made up of two inclined planes, no? So your wedge is made up of two inclined planes, and of course, this can be found in your axe. Nakikita din ito sa ating door stopper, no? Yung nagsa-stop ng door mo para hindi mag-close. That's also your wedge. Your inclined plane, of course, this is an inclined plane, and its main purpose is to make the transport of materials faster, no? Up and down transport of materials, then it becomes faster. So that's your inclined plane. Usually, the usual place where you see this is in your yung ramp natin for your wheelchair ramp, no? Para mas mabilis yung pagbaba taas ng mga tao na nasa wheelchair, they use the inclined plane. So that's your inclined plane. And of course, you also have your screw. Okay, so this is your screw, no? So very common for you to find your screw. And so, of course, the correct answer there for your zigzag road, your cannon road, that would be your inclined plane. Dahil, of course, the purpose is to go down faster. Kaya nga nagka-shortcut siya, no? Go down faster, pero winding road lamang siya. Hindi siya straight as the one that we see in your picture here. Now, aside from your simple machines, we also have your complex machines. So your complex machines are made up, of course, of several of your simple machines. So for example, ang wheelbarrow mo, this is made up of a lever and a wheel and axle. Okay, so combination na siya ng lever and wheel and axle. Your pencil sharpener, there's a lever, there's a wheel and axle, there's also wedges. Okay, yung sharp edges na that would cut the pencil, you sharpen the pencil, that would be your wedges. Your crane is made up of a pulley, a lever, and of course, wheel and axle. Bulldozer, ganun din, no? So wedge, lever, and wheel and axle there. Your clippers, you have the wedge, the sharp part, and of course, you also have the levers. Escalator, you have the pulley, and of course, you also have the inclined plane. Okay, so these are examples of complex machines, combinations of simple machines. But of course, the correct answer that we had a while ago would be your inclined plane po. Now we go to number 10. We're already halfway our discussion. It can be used to show the progress in academic grades over 4 quarters. Is this letter A, pie chart, letter B, bar graph, letter C, line graph, or letter D, circle graph? All right, now a lot of you here are answering letter C on Facebook. Sa Facebook po, karamihan yung sagot nyo ay letter C. Ganon din naman sa ating YouTube. Karamihan din, the answer is letter C. And of course, that is the correct answer. So line graph po ang tamang sagot dito. Which type of graph can be used to show the progress in academic grades over 4 quarters? The correct answer is letter C. That's the pie graph. Bakit pie graph? Punta natin yung ating next slide. So these are the different types of graphs that we can use. No? I've already discussed this before. Ang usual nating graphs na examples or types would be the bar graph, the pie chart, the line graph, and your pictogram. Okay, so pictogram. Yung tally chart natin, usually we'd use this during election, no? So pagtatali, no? Yung sticks mo and crosses mo, that would be your tally chart. And of course, your frequency table, you'd use this in item analysis, no? So to show the different numbers of people who chose a certain thing, that would be your frequency table. But the most common types of graphs here, we have 4 types: the bar graph, pie chart, line graph, and pictogram. Yung bar chart, the bar chart is used when you are showing different choices. Pag meron kong different categories, different choices, in this case here sa ating example, favorite of the day, and you have 5 different choices, you'd use your bar chart for that. Okay, so bar chart is used. Now, yung pie chart mo naman, this is used to show the relationship of a part to the whole. Okay, so titingnan mo kung saan yung pinakamarami as compared to the whole. So to show the relationship of a part to the whole, you will be using your pie chart. So usually use this for your budget, no? Budget and pie chart. Yung line graph mo naman, this is used to show the trend or the change over a period of time. For example, here, number of children with packed lunch this week. So trend or change over a period of time, that's your line graph. That's why our answer a while ago, to show the progress over 4 grading periods, that would be your line graph. Okay, change over a period of time or trend, you'd use your line graph. Then of course your pictogram here, this is going to be using your key, no? Meron siyang key na ginagamit, and usually this is used to show some characteristics of a certain population. Okay, now if you are looking at your pictogram, again, make sure that you are looking at your key before you try to answer any question. For example, you're asked, how many people like orange? Okay, you don't say 2.5. You don't say 2.5 because every circle there means 2 people. Okay, so that means your answer should be 5 people because that's 2.5 multiplied by 2. Okay, so again, if you are trying to interpret your pictogram, make sure that you are looking at the key first before you answer. Okay, but the correct answer in our question, the previous question, of course, would be line